Hello, welcome to this week's Tech Tuesday Pro Buff 1, as seen here, backwards, because I'm looking at it on my front-facing camera on my phone. But so I'm going to quickly rattle through the features, and if you've got any questions, as always, for Tech Tuesday, please just come forward with them. I'll be happy to answer. Just as a preamble to that, if you're not watching it live, if you're watching the recorded version back afterwards, either on Facebook or after I've uploaded this live video to YouTube, then you can ask questions in the comments afterwards if you want to. I will keep monitoring them and answering them as the week goes on or as time goes on, etc. So starting off with the Pro Buff 1, then this is our first product to go into the commercial sector of the marine industry. It's a lot of you may be familiar with our MBF3, the enemy AO183 buffer. That's a very popular product, our top seller. And to expand on for that, to make this much more suitable for larger installations that you would see in the commercial sector, this has 2 inputs and up to 12 outputs. So you can see straight away from that alone that it's much more suited to larger installations. There's also a serial output as well on top of those 12 outputs and the 2 inputs. There's a serial output, and every single one of the inputs and outputs, they're all isolated with respect to each other and with respect to ground. They all carry our traditional groundbreaking optical isolation and isodrive technology. There's the 7 predefined modes, which you'll see in the mode table. This mode table, you'll see it will ship with the product. You'll also get a quick start guide in there. And just very simply go over the modes. There's because the modes are broken down into different types. If you want to know more about the different types within the modes, the more details, then please read the mode table. But there's buffering modes, which is basically data coming in the input is going to the output. To all the outputs, but in a varying range of combinations. There's auto switching modes, so that's for example if you have two GPSs, so you've got 2 sources of the same kind of data in an enemy AO183 installation, and you want to use one of them as a backup, then you can connect both of those GPSs to the Pro Buff inputs, and if one was to fail, if the primary was to fail or was sending corrupt data, then it would automatically switch over to the fallback option on input 2. Input 1 is always the primary input, and input 2 is your fallback or your redundant option. And then the other modes after that are the data combine options. So if you want to combine the data from both of the inputs and send those to all of the outputs, then there's varying methods for doing that as well. There's also the possibility of going back to the auto switch option. There's a possibility of setting up, if you wanted to, a manual switch. We've had requests for people to be able to do that before with the manual switch, and to do that you need, because the way that the modes are set, the way that the predefined modes are set is by hardwiring between the power inputs and the mode pins, which are on the same side. You can see power and the mode, and the way to set those again is outlined in the mode table. And if you wanted to set a manual switch, you could just put a switch in that wiring that goes between the power modes, the power pins and the mode pins. Just put a switch in there that will change the configuration just to go over to between buffer mode 1 and buffer mode 2. So that then becomes like a manual switch over. It's also, if you want some more customized options of what's already available in the predefined modes, then you can use the web user interface for the configuration tool that's in there, and that's built into the device, so you don't need to have an internet connection for that, and it also means that you don't have any compatibility issues to contend with, because you can just use it on any popular browser. We've tested it across multiple browsers, so Safari, Firefox, Internet Explorer, all the popular ones really. that can be accessed by either going straight into the Ethernet port, which is down here next to, just along from the serial and the power connections. You can either go straight into that Ethernet port from your PC or laptop, and the Pro BUF 1 does have an auto IP feature, so it will automatically assign that IP address to it, and then you can access the Pro BUF 1 config, web-based config tool simply by opening up your browser and then typing in the full descriptions in the manual as well. It's http:// and then probuf dash, and then enter the 6-digit serial number. And the 6-digit serial number, this is my one that I use on my desk. It's one of the very early protocols we had, so it's only a 3-digit serial number. But your Pro BUF will have a 6-digit serial number. So enter that after the Pro BUF and then the hyphen, and you will automatically gain access to the web user interface for that. It can also be installed on an existing Ethernet network, or an Ethernet network that you're planning to install. It will automatically be assigned an IP address by the DHCP survey. If you what's next on the list? The pluggable connectors. There's two different types of pluggable connectors. I've got them here on my desk somewhere. There's the screwless ones, which look like this. So they have these little orange buttons on. When you push those in, inside there's a little clamp that will rise up, and then you can put your wire in and that shut that down. That's useful because if you've got soldered wire, loose wire, then with the screw ones, if you get cold flow on the solder, then the clamps will automatically just keep pressing down on them as that cold flow happens over time. That's when the solder will start to spread under pressure. And then there's the more traditional, the older type that people are probably more familiar with, is the screw type connectors. And the beauty of these is that they are pluggable. The Pro BUF 1 will come fully populated with either these ones or these ones. It will come fully populated. It won't look like this. I've taken all mine out. And the beauty of these are that the Pro BUF 1 will be installed in the location, and you can just plug those in. But I'm sure you're familiar with how those work. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there using the similar types of connectors. And the DIN rail mount will be included as well with the product. There's a DIN rail spot on the back. You just pull that down and it should stay out. Pull that down and that will stay clipped out, and then you just pop it back up again and it will clip onto any DIN rail. Vency, I hope I've pronounced that right. Is there any? So yes, there is a login for the web. I'm assuming you mean the web-based configuration tool. That there is a login for that. It's always the username at the moment, until we've come up with a method for recovering any lost password. At the moment, the username and the password are both admin. That's outlined in the user manual as well. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Is that what you're asking? Just waiting for Vency to reply. I hope I pronounced your name right, Vency. I'm not sure if that's correct or not. Does anybody else have any other questions? Like I said earlier, if you're not watching this back live, if you're watching a rerun of this, then you can ask questions simply in the comments, and I'll get a notification via Facebook that those questions have been asked, and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. No worries, Vency, glad I could help. So yeah, we do plan to implement that at some point, so that it can be more password protected. Once, like I was saying just then to Vency, that at the moment we have no method for recovering a lost password or a forgotten password. So if you were to change the password on it, and that password gets forgotten, or the installer that set the password, for example, isn't around, and somebody needs to gain access to the config tool, then that's not really an ideal situation to be in, because you won't be able to access it at all. You need to send it back to us for a reset. Okay, so we're currently beta, just to let you know what's planned for the future. This is obviously a very new product to the market for Actisense. It's so we do have lots of things to come for this. We are planning for supporting data over the Ethernet connection. The alarm outputs at the moment, we've just managed to implement this, and it's going through the stages of beta testing at the moment. Can we download configuration? So the configuration will always be saved in the web UI. So once you go into the, sorry, just if I've changed subjects just because Vince's asked another question. But any customized configurations that you enter into the Pro Buff 1 web UI, they will be saved in one of the tabs window options inside of the web UI, so you can always go back to those. They're always saved inside the device as part of that. So it's always effectively backed up. Is that okay, Vincey? Does that answer your question? Obviously, if you're using one of the predefined modes, then there's no real need for backing that up, because you can simply hardwire it in, or you can set the predefined modes from the Ethernet connection from the web UI. Lots of thumbs up. Glad I'm. Thumbs up and wows. Thanks very much. Okay, well, if there's no other questions, guys, I'm going to end there. Thanks very much for turning up. I see we've got a bit of an audience. I will be posting this up to YouTube, like all of our previous Tech Tuesdays have been posted. So yeah, you can either ask questions in the comments on there or the comments on Facebook. Thanks very much for tuning in. See ya.